Healing itself has transformed completely over the last few decades from something that was entirely physical to something that has become mental, emotional, and now a totally holistic way of being, a lifestyle. Some people relate to healing as a way to fix the things that are wrong in them, as a way to feel better where they're feeling bad. But what if healing itself goes so much deeper than that? And this is something I've already begun touching upon in all of my past videos, which you can always go back to and watch at any time. But let's go a little bit deeper at what healing really means and how we can begin to live a lifestyle of healing. And I think this is why some people get upset at healing as a concept in general. I've seen people talk about on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, how healing is, just a way to avoid yourself, or, chasing after the next thing is spiritual avoidance or spiritual bypassing, or you don't need healing, you just need to be, and all these different things. And I think that there's little truth in everything that's being said, but I think it's because we're, as a whole collective, discovering truly what that means. And today we're going to talk about my perspective on healing and see if you resonate with it. So welcome to my video. My name is Stephanie and I'm a certified ascension coach. I'm one half of Kieran and Stephanie, and you can find information on how to work with me and work with Kieran on my website, which is going to be linked in the YouTube description box below. I remember back when I was younger, in my teens, in my early 20s as a young adult, and I was really hurting. I was really sick and I had a lot of chronic illness, a lot of unnamed symptoms that really didn't lead anywhere specific. I remember going to doctors a lot and not getting any kind of results back. And no matter where I went, I go to the hairdresser and I'd be like, hey, I noticed my hair's falling out a lot. What is that? And they would just kind of look at it and be like, it could be your normal. And I'm like, okay. Or I'd go to the doctor and I'd be like, how come I can't, these certain normal functions of the body, don't happen for me normally. And I won't go into too many details, but I would just be told, maybe that's your normal. Maybe that's normal for you. And without any kind of further explanation or understanding. And something always lit up in me, red flag or like a siren, something's off, something's not right. How come I can feel something is not quite right in me? And no one else sees that. No one else knows no one else can give me any kind of guidance or understanding of what this is, and help me through it. To do their basic job that I'm as a doctor that they're supposed to do. And I think it's this level of contrast that contributed to my awakening. How it started to cause me to awaken to maybe there's something more, there's something else that I can't see, something that's outside of this kind of system or reality that I'm used to. And that got me becoming curious on energy and the unseen worlds, because I was the kind of person before, I was very scientific. I was the person that would say, if I can't see it, hear it, or smell it, it does not exist. And that's so the opposite of the person that I am today. It's actually quite wild to look back at the old versions of myself and be like, wow, I've come such a long way. And I can see and have compassion for that version of myself who only saw the world from such a narrow view. And I only saw myself from such a narrow view. And this is when I began to awaken, and I started having spiritual experiences and realized, wow, that literally I'm having experiences that do not match the structure of reality that I believe is real, that I've invested so much time into defending. And so that's when I started to do my research. And over the years, it's been about 10, 12 years since I began my awakening. And I've come such a long way. I've gone through so much individually and collectively that, it becomes so obvious that there is so much more that we are just not aware of, and it will continue to be so. There will never be a point where I can look at my life or myself and say I know everything, because it's just not true. I've been there. I was there before, and I was so incredibly wrong. And I know this is a very similar experience to what everyone goes through as they're going along their spiritual awakening. And it comes in layers, right? And so the awakening is just the beginning of the healing process. And it's the reason why I really wanted to make this video, because a lot of times we talk about awakening when it's what it feels like and what it looks like at the beginning, because that is such a, kaboom in your life when the veil is lifted and old illusions shatter immediately, towers fall, and it's like you start to see all the holes, all of the places in your life that you've built your life on that are not real, that are not sound foundation. But what we don't, or at least not what I've seen too much of, but I'd like that to change, and I'd like to be a part of that conversation, is talking about what happens when you are years along the journey, when you haven't given up, you haven't stepped back or said, I can't do this anymore, and you don't get stuck in one, experience, but you continue the integration, you continue the healing, you continue the facing your shadows and emptying your cup and letting the universe, God, spirit, creator, whatever you call it, whatever it is for you, begin to guide you along your journey, and realize that you're not the one in control. This is the healing. And from my perspective, people who only relate to healing work from the physical, or only relate to it only mentally, or even only spiritually without the physical or without the mental, without the emotional aspects of it, is incomplete. And I think when you learn that you are a holistic being and essentially union, when you come to this place of union within yourself, or you recognize that that is really the goal, when that is the target, the thing that you seek, it really changes everything on the healing path and allows you to 10x your integration and your manifestation as well of all of this healing you've been doing inside of you. Now, this is really important to me because I see people and clients all the time who can get stuck on their journey. And that's the reason why I wanted to come on here today and talk about this, because I think we can tend to get so stuck in one way or seeing it from one perspective. And that's what we're going to talk about today, go a little bit deeper into. But that's can probably be the reason why you start getting frustrated and like nothing's happening, nothing's changing. I've been in this one chapter of my healing for so long, and I just feel like I still haven't moved from this, or nothing's quite shifted on the outside yet. And that's what we're going to talk about today, and maybe give some ideas of what you can look at to see why that could be true, and where maybe you can realign and help you to come into deeper union, so that way you can feel like you're continuing to move forward in your path, because that's the goal, right? Ultimately, it's inner first and then outer. But what happens when you are doing so much inner and nothing's happening on the outer? So that's kind of what this video is for all of you out there that might be resonating with that. And so there's a few different things here. First, when we're doing the healing work, when people are facing themselves and doing healing work, so often it's trying to look at all the places where you feel hurt or broken or upset, and healing that, right? But the thing that some people miss is that you must also go in and look at the shadows, the parts of you that well, let me break it down a little bit. And again, this is from experience, but also like personal experience in my own journey, but also in helping clients over the years. In the beginning, people are drawn to the healing work because they themselves usually feel victimized or oppressed or hurt or not given the love that they need or deserve. That's usually, not always, but hey, I mean, that's what it was for me, and probably every single one of my clients I've ever worked with. And so the healing work brings a lot of relief because you begin to learn how to love yourself in those places and filling up your own cup. And it feels amazing, quite honestly. But what happens when you start seeing and attracting and experiencing through, your mirroring of your reality, shadows? When you start seeing shadow versions of people and experiences that feel really painful, essentially the oppressor. You've done so much work on your inner victim, but you haven't looked at the shadow aspect of that, the other side, Where are you participating in the oppressive behavior, essentially? And got to go deeper than that, because it's not just that. Where are you doing it to yourself? And when you're able to see both sides, this is where the magic really happens. This is absolutely where the magic happens, where it's not just, okay, I feel better, but I start seeing better too. I start experiencing a relief in my reality as well. Things, those old patterns begin to actually truly dissolve, and I don't manifest them anymore. Like, I can't attract them anymore. I'm not a vibrational match. Healing is not just, feeling better all the time, like facing the parts that, like going in and saving yourself, essentially. That is a part of it, but it's also facing the parts of you that participated in the experience, the other side of it too. Because if you're experiencing one side, that means that there's a part of you also experiencing and participating in the other side as well, somewhere inside of you. And this is sometimes really hard for people to face, really, really hard, because, and again, this is called shadow work, and we can do shadow work with the mirror exercise as well. I teach the mirror exercise, and I use the mirror exercise with all of my clients, which does teach you how to love yourself, and it helps you to give that love to yourself. But you can also do shadow work with it. You do core work, you do shadow work with it. It's a very versatile tool. But you need to be really honest with yourself and humble. Pour out your cup of what you think you know about yourself. If you keep experiencing a certain pattern in your reality, you have to look inside of yourself, and where am I participating in that in all ways? Always, not just one, because it's not possible for you to only experience one side of the contrast energetically without also participating somewhere in the other side. It's just not. So this is really, really important. And I'll leave this here, and we are going to go deeper in this in future videos, specifically this concept. And we're going to go deeper in the mirror exercise too, to teach you how to apply it at that level if you're interested. So if you are interested and you want that like ASAP, comment in the comments and let me know so I can prioritize that video. But the next piece here, I kind of want to shift gears just a little bit, because this is a topic that I have recently been really feeling into and talking about in my spiritual community, which is what, but it's all in the same vein here of understanding union and the holisticness of healing, which is how you're relating to your healing itself. A lot of people tend to, especially from the West, tend to relate to their healing journey from a very masculine perspective. And what that means is masculine in the yin-yang idea in Chinese medicine. Yang is the masculine energy. It's fire energy, but it's also action. It's finding solutions for things. It's forward moving. It's thinking and logic, right? But feminine is very much passive, not passive in a lazy way, but passive in like a receiving kind of way. It's intuitive instead of being action oriented. It's rest. It's also feeling and flow. It's being instead of moving forward and instead of logic. So a lot of times, and this is something that I really resonate with, and again, every single one of especially the women that I work with that are Westerners, tend to have this because we were raised in a patriarchy. And so we tend to relate to ourselves and the world through that masculine lens. And then they want the results of the inner work, which is the physical, manifestation, physical movement. And they don't understand why they're not getting that when they've put in so much work, right? When you've put in so much yang. And why am I not getting any more results, more yang? And they don't really realize that you need so much yin in your life and in your energy field to be able to hold the yang. And so if you are only yang, or if you are mostly yang, and then you want more yang, you're going to have to balance that out with more yin. And so that's so important, especially for any feminine, divine feminine polarity being. If you grew up not valuing or not learning how to respect your own femininity, not learning how to value it or honor it. And that can look like, not being allowed to rest or forcing you to be logical instead of being like trusting your intuition on things, for example. Or, being in a workplace or a school growing up where masculine energy of achievement, of moving forward, of doing was the thing that was rewarded instead of the feminine of, intuition, relax, and flow. So it can lead to someone really resenting needing to rest, or resenting their intuition, or resenting, or not really liking, ever really feeling their feelings. So this is really important, because if that's you and you resonate with that, like, oh, I'll feel my feelings to get the results. I'll do my inner work to get the results, but not because I actually want to do it. Not because I actually enjoy feeling my feelings. Not because I actually enjoy resting. I'll rest because I have to, otherwise I get sick. But I won't rest because I actually want to. Maybe I feel guilty, or I feel stressed when I have to rest. These are all good signs that your yin is weak in your energetic constitution, and that there's some work to be done here with coming, like maybe healing blocks to fully embodying that yin energy. And when you're able to hold and embody that yin energy, just watch as your results in your yang actually has space to come towards you. And so this has been absolutely the key for me, and manifesting all of the amazing, beautiful things I have in my life now that I could never, it's like they would run away from me in the past, no matter how much healing I had done, or no matter what I had physically accomplished or achieved. It didn't matter. I just I couldn't have all these nice things, all this good in my life. And it's not because I wasn't, deserving of it. I was, and you are too. And it's not because you're not doing enough work. That's, again, a very unbalanced thought of like a patriarchal thought, I'd say, personally. But you need to learn how to receive it. And so that's really the key. So I wanted to also hop on here and mention that as well, and kind of start this conversation. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say and your own idea of this. And of course, I should also caveat this with, you may resonate with the opposite. If you were raised in like an Asian country, or a country that it's a little more matriarchal, where it's more intuitive and spiritual and all of these things naturally, instead of work-based or all of these, I guess, moving forward. If that's the case, also, you may resonate with the other side, which is it's very easy for you to do the yin work of feeling your feelings, and it might feel really at home, but you may resent your action. You may resent, for example, or not value or respect yourself in achieving something and working to get to that place. These are just examples, of course, and what I'm talking about are really just archetypes. So there's not anything concrete, but the point of this is so that we can start this conversation and hopefully begin to walk, everyone begins to walk deeper into their own inner union with their energy. And when I say feminine and masculine, I don't mean a gender, and I don't mean a biology. I mean an energy, like genuinely a yin and yang energy. And so if you need to see it from that perspective of yin and yang, I think that's really helpful. And I love that. That's really helpful for me. I lived in Asia for 3 years, and I absolutely loved the culture based off the moon. Like, they don't use the Gregorian calendar, they use the moon calendar, and very matriarchal, very spiritual, and I just loved it. And it was so healing for me to help me learn balance. But that's something you can do at home, just by understanding this concept and applying it to your work that you do already. And so I hope this video brings you something of value. I hope it's interesting to you on some level, and if not, well, fine. Click away, move on, find something that is more aligned with you, and that's great. But with that being said, thank you so much for being here in this video. I love these kind of conversations, and I really hope we get to have more of them. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.